Hey, y'all, this is Pete Melfi from the Florida Man Games coming at you March 1st, by the way, and I'm hanging on verbal shenanigans. We are getting weird.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to the show. 502, I believe, Mike. 498 episodes to the next celebration.
Yep. So we're going to be very boring until then. But 2034, I guarantee you, it'll be worth the wait. And I'll be like going through this trash and just keep going and going through the years. But when you're got your grandchildren all raised and all, it's like, come gather around the computer, kids. We're going to listen to some excitement.
Some may argue we've been boring this whole time, not just lately.
Well, that was not on purpose. I mean, this time we're on purpose. Like, we had the meeting and we were going over all the stuff, and I'm like, no, Scott, that's entertaining. You're like, Burlew, that's funny. Don't do that.
You did come to the table and say, I have a bit of a mind-blowing marketing plan. Let's make the show as boring and dull as possible, and we should take off in the next 8 years or so.
Yeah, I feel that we've used up enough energy as is, trying to be, relatable and likable and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it only got us to a certain plateau. So the only thing I can fathom is do the exact opposite. And we got it for everybody.
Yes. Well, Mike, I might as well just jump right in because I guess last week, me telling these three embarrassing stories must have opened up some kind of, I don't know, something in the universe to
wormhole.
Wormhole or something to try to just so happen to give me a new one that just happened today. And I'm sure it'll line up perfectly with some of the other things that we have.
Speaking of last week, did you look over the audio issues some people brought up?
What do you mean? I thought it sounded perfect. Well, what do you mean?
There was apparently beeps in certain positions that
happens.
Kind of makes you think.
Well, that's like when we use foul language or something like that. The sensors pick up on it.
Well, it's what was offensive was not offensive. It was more like not welching on a bet. But I digress.
What do you mean? I called you that name many times last week.
Okay, if that's the way you got to roll. That's the way you got to roll. Let's just say I already did a little defensive move.
Ooh, what'd you do?
And we'll go from there.
Oh, I don't get to know. I don't get to know the defense.
I mean, you're a smart man. Maybe you could figure it out. I wasn't smart enough to figure out the peeps, so go ahead, Inspector Clouseau.
Is that the most? Do you think people know who Inspector Clouseau even is anymore? Like past?
Oh, the kids love Inspector Clouseau. Like if you hashtag it on TikTok, it gets millions of views and all. Even when like TikTok was banned, that's why Trump brought it back. He's like, the kids are going to forget about Inspector Clouseau if we close this down. So
I'm thinking like right after my age, pretty much no one after that knows Inspector Clouseau anymore. I'm pretty sure that's a bit of a dated character.
All right, I'll get more up to date. Inspector Gadget.
Okay. Even then, I think we lost.
Yeah, it's closer. I mean, God damn. I'm sorry. What do the kids inspect nowadays, huh?
I don't
Inspector
know.
Mr. Beast?
As you were saying that, I was trying to think of a modern inspector, if you will. I don't know if they
Monk?
I don't know if kids are that into solving mysteries and inspecting clues and whatnot. I don't think it's the in thing anymore.
Carmen San Diego? You want that?
feel like when we grew up, mystery was a big. We had the Hardy Boys books. We had like Nancy Drew. Mysteries were a big thing. I don't even know if kids had the attention span to sit through like
No.
a really.
They're like, will you just give me the answer? No, I'm not going to look in the envelope. I'm just going to sit here in this escape room looking at my phone for the next hour. You'll open the door eventually.
Do you think kids play Clue anymore? I doubt it. They don't know Professor Plum in the conservatory with the pipe.
I had the extended one, man. I had like Sergeant Gray and Miss Peach and all. I didn't stand there with like 6 people. I had like 9 and all. I made it like mega Clue.
Who was your go-to piece? Who'd you like to be?
Original was Colonel Mustard.
Me too.
That was my original go-to. But the extended, I think it was Sergeant Gray. And I always go to the fountain.
For what? You just to
I'm just
taste
like
the water.
I want to see if there's murders in this fountain. I'm just curious. No, I'm not going to go in a regular room. Don't tell me to go in the kitchen. I'm just going to hang here by the fountain until you tell me nobody died at the fountain.
There's a game that I would love to get like you, me, and like 3 other people and play a traditional game of Clue. When's the last time you played Clue? Give me a year estimate. Mine has to be 20 years. Probably 20 years.
That's got to be a minimum. At minimum 20. I wonder if the year started with a 1 or a 2. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah. I'd be curious if I even remember the steps to play Clue. Like it's a little fuzzy now in my brain thinking about the actual game itself. Like I remember most of it, but like how to actually play and submit your case and whatnot is a little fuzzy at the moment.
I guess it all depends. Like the way I played, it was just like you get in the room, like I'm going to keep guessing. And if you wanted to piss somebody off, you kept on throwing out like the people, the weapon, and then make them sit there for a little while. But if you're like, oh, it wasn't in the conservatory, in your face.
So when you played Clue, you would go visit the fountain and just throw weapons at people. That was how you played Clue.
That's how I always guess. Like I believe Sergeant Gray's starting point was right by the fountain. That's why I like Sergeant Gray. And then it's like, roll to 5. All right, Sergeant Gray at the fountain again. Let's see what happens.
I just picture your family being like, Mike, like you're supposed to try to solve the mystery, not visit the fountain and throw wrenches at people. That's not the idea of the game.
Don't you want to know who killed Mr. Body? No, I'm looking at Coy.
Very good, very underrated movie, by the way. Clue. I always loved that movie growing up.
I debatably say that's Tim Curry's best movie.
Yeah. I think that's why I enjoyed that Knives Out so much when it came out, because it reminded me of like a throwback to that movie. Kind of, it was similar to Clue, minus the 3 endings.
Because there were fountains in Knives Out. I haven't watched it yet, but now you get me intrigued. So.
Yeah, every movie you watch, you see a fountain. You're like, man, we should play Clue.
Get the board game out.
So, back to me. Let's make the show about me, I guess. Not in a good way.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just tag on to last week. Last week, if you tuned in, you got to hear 3 interesting stories about myself as the first part of I don't know what we called the game, the shenanigans. We kind of called on the episode, we called the Shenanigans Showdown, which was kind of a throwback name from another thing we tried to do, which we've explained a million times. But I had to offer up some embarrassing story because in the lore of this show, our most listened to episode is the one where we played a game of Battleship. Okay. And if you sunk a ship, that ship was worth an amount of embarrassment, if you will. So your aircraft carrier, I believe, was like your most embarrassing story. What was the one in Battleship? Was that a submarine? Was that one? Or a U-boat or something? I don't think
so.
Yeah. So that was the first part. So this morning, I had to go. I'm going to try to make this as clean as possible. I had to drop a deuce in the workplace. Okay. Now we have heard several deuce stories of mine over the years involving work and various other places. Now, I was, it's very, very hard to go to the bathroom these days without your phone. I don't know if you feel the same way. Like,
for the most part, there. I mean, if I'm at home and at times I'm like, I don't have the phone, I literally stop what I'm doing, get up, leave the pants down as I waddle into the rooms.
Wait.
Get my phone.
So so you got to go. You drop trout, and then you're like, oh, I don't have my phone. You don't pick your pants back up. You just waddle around the house with your pants down looking for your phone.
I'm going to stain my undies if it's like bad or anything back there. So I just go, all right, let me see if I get it, if I know where it's at.
Wait. So you're just preemptively hoping there's no accident. But if you were to have an accident, it would go all over your house and not in your pants because your pants were down.
Well, obviously, I'm in a state where I feel nothing new is coming out, and it's not like it's dripping or anything like that. So it's just one of those, hey, I'm going to be here for a minute. I already got the first piece done. Let me at least enjoy the phone during the second part of this interaction.
Wow, there's is there like a little break in the middle, like 2-part play?
It's poop intermission. I'm going to get my phone, and then I'll go back to enjoy the second half.
So I was dealing with a issue, trying to get service on my boiler, and I was looking. They gave me one estimate. And what the price they were telling me on the phone was completely different. And I was like, I was kind of fuming. And I was like, I got to look for this email. I can't find this email they sent me to prove to them that they sent me the wrong thing, right? Or they told me the wrong thing on the phone. And those of you who don't know, as a man, so for my female audience, I might be educating you right now. When you are pooping, there's a certain tuck of an angle you need to do with your man part. So when you're peeing, it goes into the toilet. Correct? You know what I'm saying, Mike? Right? You can't be just flopping around on your lap. It's got to be angled, down into the bowl.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
sometimes when you're doing a push, like some wants to come out from the other side and on, you got to be prepared for that. That's why it's halfway down the bowl.
Yeah, and like when you're there, like a little pee comes out all the time. Like there's always a little pee going on during the pooping process. So I guess in my distraction of finding said bill on my phone or estimate on my phone, I guess I wasn't angled correctly. In fact, I must have been angled out of the toilet, facing straight out, because I looked down and there is a pee puddle all over the ground in front of the toilet, and some on the back of my pants, which happened to be, around my ankles at the time. So there I am, one, going poop at work. Two, I just peed all over the entire floor and a little bit on myself, Mike.
I think I know what happened here, Scott. You're hoping a sexy janitor shows up.
Why would he show up? Why I'm
wasn't. Well,
he just follows me.
It's like the whole thing with like the pizza man. It's like, oh, you came and I just realized I have no money. It's like the janitor comes in with his mop and he's like, you're like, oh, I need you to clean up this pee, but I forgot to pull up my pants. It's all part of the fantasy of what goes on, reliving your childhood.
Did you take a swift blow to the head today? Because so far you've told us you played Clue to go look at the fountains, that you do intermission poops and walk around your house with your pants at your ankles. And now when I go to the bathroom, I think the janitor from my high school was going to randomly enter the room.
Enter you. Yep, that's correct. Enter you. Yep.
I need to go put on my Christmas present. He's just going to randomly follow me throughout the state of New Jersey now, 20x plus years later.
Well, I mean, your original janitor is no longer with us, so maybe you're just hoping like son of the sexy janitor shows up, like the sequel.
Now I'm attracted to his children now that he left.
Well, I mean, looks like his dad. I mean, what's there to lose in this scenario?
I really think this might be the last episode of this show. This might have to be the ending run. I'm gonna say the Burrows a bunch of times and sign off. Yeah, so there I am. I mean, I guess for our friends here, the body fluid segment apparently of the show. But now I have to clean up. Obviously, I have to clean up from my poop. Okay. Then I have to find a way to wipe and then clean up the floor at the same time. And then also get enough of it off of my pants, like to dab it dry so I don't exit the bathroom, which is a big old puddle on my back.
I mean, this is a tough. It's like one of those word problems you got at school, and it's like, the boat can only take so much weight, but you got to get everybody across the river. What do you do?
Yeah,
you're in quite a conundrum right now, Scott. What did you do?
No, well, I mean, there's not much more to the story other than the fact that I reached pretty far for the paper towels. Got a whole bunch of paper towels, very low quality paper towels, by the way. That kind that just like you put them on and they just smear things around. Cleaned the best I could, threw it in the garbage can, walked out, and then kind of like went to my desk quickly and sat at my chair quickly so I could not be found out what happened. But of course, as I'm leaving, because this is only a one stall bathroom, like one person at a time, someone's just waiting outside the door for me to come out. So if I left any evidence behind, they figured me out immediately.
I mean, that's the new edition of Clue and all. It's no longer who killed Mr. Body. It's who left a pile of piss in the men's room. And I still started the fountain in that scenario.
I mean, maybe that's the way to get the kids. You got to make it a little bit more edgy.
Yeah.
Who cleaned up the piss in the...
Yeah. I mean, murders, we have whole TV series that we binge and watch as we go to sleep and all. That doesn't affect it, but it's like, ooh, which one of the popular kids left a piss puddle? Yep. Now we got a game here.
Now, I'm curious, has this scenario ever... So I'm humiliated. Like, as this happened, I'm like, oh my God. Like, nobody found out other than all the audience that I'm telling tonight. So exactly, nobody. Nobody found out, but I had that hot feeling in the face, like, oh my God, like humiliated. Like I was describing last week with that health teacher, that when I was almost passing out during the video, that feeling of being humiliated, where you got I don't know how to describe the heat behind the eyes, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. Humiliated amongst myself. Has this scenario ever happened to you, where you peed on the floor a little bit while pooping?
Like nothing public, like maybe in my personal bathroom, maybe you don't position it correctly in the bowl and it comes out the crack in between the seat and the bowl, something like that.
Yeah, man.
But nothing like a public thing. Like probably if I was you and you had a decent piss stain, I would at least like had like a glass of water or something, went oops, and
coffee,
like everybody's
coffee.
Yeah, it's like silly me. It looks like I pissed myself. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was adventurous. So I would love to see a camera, like if there was a camera in there, as I'm like looking at my phone, just a pee stream flying out the front as I'm not even noticing, peeing on myself.
I'm wondering how long you were pissing before you're like, oh.
I don't know, but I will tell you, no lie, looking at the ground, it was a lot. It was a good amount on the floor, like not like a little dribble. It was like I could grab a whole bunch of paper towels kind of situation. So whether there was water on the ground before that, I don't think so. I think it was all Scott Brennan here who committed. It's been quite a few weeks for me. I've had my balls fly out at the gym. Then I communicate with some of our back and forth with some people who get us guests, and they're telling me that Tracy Bonham is listening to me talk about my balls flying out. Someone else mentions it, and apparently that didn't stop. Apparently,
yeah. So I'm just walking around. I got my phone on me, and I get an alert from an email that came up a little fast, and I'm like, as it like disappeared, I'm like, I could have sworn that email just said Scott's testicle mishap. So I'm like, okay, I am assuming that somebody, maybe a former guest or somebody we communicate with a lot on my personal Gmail account, is like sending a funny email to my personal account. So I kind of swipe to list all my alerts, and I kind of notice it's in my Outlook. My Outlook is my work email. So I go in, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And sure enough, there's this person who's a vendor who wants to get in with the company.
Mm-hmm.
And to give a little backstory, I have a LinkedIn page and I put all my work accolades. I know you all assume we both make millions upon millions of dollars on this podcast. Why on earth would we have a regular job? Well, it's because we want to appeal to you commoners as we rake in the millions, but I digress.
Right. We can't, not only that, it's a little boring. We all can't just sit around and look at fountains all day. That would get old. So we got to occupy our time somehow.
Easily. Yeah. Scott he sits on his throne and he says to himself, it'd be great if I just pissed on the floor of the commoners. And that's what he did that day.
Yeah.
But in any case, so as I was saying, I lately have been putting our episodes on my LinkedIn page, because I promote both. I'm an IT guy and I'm a podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
So sure enough, apparently an IT vendor has been watching like our company because we had like an open job out there. And a lot of them, what they do is they see who works for the company and then try to send emails in there to kind of sneak their way into, hey, I know you're hiring for this, but our company offers this. We're wondering if we can come in and work out. And you generally ignore them. And how I know you generally ignore them was I didn't notice this was the second email he sent me. I was actually looking at the reply to the initial email of Scott's testicle mishap. So I had to go back and look at the original, where this gentleman, Spencer Dow, if you're out there, thanks for listening to the podcast. Mike, love the podcast. Just listened to the episode with Tracy Bonham, and I've got to say, I don't know what was my favorite part, the Irish beat at the beginning or hearing about Scott's testicle mishap. LOL. On a different note, I wanted to reach out and introduce myself as your point of contact here at Data Dog. I saw the team is hiring software engineers to drive improved digital experiences for your customer and partner, which is exciting. A big part of that initiative seems to be ensuring high quality code with optimizing performance, security, and scalability. Curious, how's the team tackling monitoring and security currently?
On 500 we talked a little bit about some of the things that would have never happened if we didn't do this podcast. What if you somehow land this company and it's like the biggest acquisition in your company, you get this huge raise, you're like known as like the guy, and it was all because of your buddy's balls.
Exactly. Like I'm like 70 years old. I've been VP for God knows how long, and I got millions upon millions, and some college intern comes in and goes, sir, tell me the way. How did your growth start off? And let me tell you a little story called underwear patches, my friend.
You have a poor best friend.
Yeah.
who can't afford.
He has enough money for a gym, but he doesn't have enough money for good undies.
Yeah. I haven't gotten this much attention in quite a long time. My balls seem to be. My balls have gotten more attention and feedback than the both of us have over in this podcast in a long time.
And I feel maybe you're just holding back again. I mean, I feel maybe it's just like, hey, world, here they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we would explode in like 5 seconds, but you still sit back and you're like, oh, I don't have my my poop intermission. I can't just waddle outside and show everybody my testicles. No, I gotta hide them, and hide the fact that I pissed myself and all that fun stuff. And you're
know-
very selfish that way when it comes to saying nicknames and your testicles showing.
You know how I always say this is going to be a cool thing to show my kids, like, this is
Don't show them that. You'll get arrested.
This verbal diary that we have of 10 years of our lives, 11 years of our lives. Who knows how long this lasts? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I don't want them knowing all these wonderful stories about their dad.
The day you die, they're going to have an open coffin, but they're going to shut the front part and just leave the bottom part open of the coffin.
People come very.
That's what everybody wanted to see. That's what everybody talks about when they think of my father.
That's what everyone
right there.
That's what everyone said is leaving the world, not the human attached.
Yeah,
to
we'll leave a little piss stain on your good pants, but it'll be halfway down to your knees and all that fun stuff. We'll tastefully say goodbye to you, Scotty. I promise.
Well, don't people, our loyal listenership, don't say I don't try to throw my whole self out there, figuratively and literally, for some entertainment here on the show. I think you guys know pretty much everything about Mike and I, or awkward moments we've been caught in. So that is my latest, Mike. But we need to shift gears here. Let's focus on somebody else, please. Who we got tonight on the show?
Scott, everyone knows they are in for a treat when the phrase Florida man is thrown around in the news. And our guest tonight took that and combined it with the Olympics. So Pete Melfi is the creator and organizer of the Florida Games. The event had its inaugural event last year to huge success. And on March 1st, the Games return to St. Johns County Fairgrounds in Elkton, Florida. Tickets are still available. I will allow Pete Melfi to explain what to expect and where to go for them.
Let's get Pete on the line.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Pete?
Hey,
How
Pete.
are you?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Doing well, sir. Doing well. So what's the tension 2 weeks away from the biggest event of the year, and it's barely into 2025?
Yeah, the tension is as high as it can possibly be, my friend. It is waking up at 6 a.m, going to bed at 2 a.m, and working every minute in between. We had we put on a heck of a show last year, and I want to make it bigger and better this year. So I'm working hard to do that.
Well, give us a little insight into that. Like, what are you doing from 6 to 2? Like, what kinds of hats are you wearing at the moment? Like, trying to get things done.
Yeah. So it's interesting because there have been a number of TV stations that have approached me in the last 3 days. Of course, in the last 3 weeks leading up to this thing when I have no time to do anything else.
Of course.
I'm literally building weaponized pool noodles. I'm greasing wheels on shopping carts. It's,
It sounds like the Philly Super Bowl parade over there.
Did you see the guys who stole the horses?
Did you see the guy?
Yeah.
Did you see the guy who laid on top of the train going on the subway?
No, I didn't see that one.
Subway surfing, laying flat on the train. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, no. So, we may have to have a Philadelphia man game soon. Who knows? That might be almost as wild as the Florida man game.
Just remember to get enough horse poop for the eating competition,
for the snack bar.
Yeah, right. Oh boy, I got to tell you, I did want to add a fear factor element to it this year, and so one thing we're doing, a new contest we just announced, is human beer pong. And this is where we have two guys in those big inflatable bubble suits. You're like invincible in these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to get into one of three giant cups of liquid. One of them's going to be beer, one of them's going to be whiskey, and the third one's going to be bong water.
Oh.
So I have a feeling everybody's going to be aiming for the bong water. The defender is going to have to chug whatever the offensive guy gets into, by the way. So that's going to be a very fun twist on this thing that I'm personally really looking forward to.
So why don't you tell our audience a little background of you and all, what what kind of things were you doing? What kind of set you up in creating this amazing event, the Florida Games?
Yeah, man. So I'm a born and raised Floridian, born here in St. Augustine, Florida. And you move away from Florida for any period of time and you just realize how glorious and amazing we have it here in this state. But so I got into doing radio and podcasting in like 2011. Really, it was all radio in 2011. There wasn't much podcasting, but I feel like I've been covering these Florida man stories ever since, and they just get wilder and weirder and funnier. And I'm personally a big comedy fan. So I've started putting on events in the last couple of years. Our first event was a 0.5K beer run. So it was the shortest run ever because I don't run. So I wanted something I could complete. And then we had beer stops along the way. And that was a lot of fun. And so my original intent with the Florida Man Games was to actually have the Florida Man event be like an after party to the 0.5K beer run. But as soon as we made the announcement that we're going to be doing something called the Florida Man Games, I mean, quite literally within minutes, this thing blew up and went international within days. So I guess back to your original question, I've been covering these Florida Man stories for a long time, and that's what made me kind of want to do something that was fun and funny. And I thought the perfect vehicle for that is Florida Man and the Florida Man Games, because these stories have been around since I can remember covering the news, and they're always hilarious. So I wanted an event that people could laugh all day long at, and we definitely pulled that off in 2024.
We even us over the years, we've done several bits about news stories that have happened in Florida. Pick the one out of these that happened in Florida, stuff like that. What is it about the state that it wouldn't ring the same if it was the Jersey Man, games, if it was the Idaho Man game? What is it about the state, do you think, that brings on such, I don't know, insanity, such uniqueness? What do you think it is?
I think the meth has something to do with it. But other than that, I guess the serious answer to give you as somebody who covers news, and I try not to give many serious answers, but it's the sunshine laws in the state of Florida. It's basically, if you get arrested, everything that happens to you in the jail and court system instantly becomes public record. Your mugshots, all of that stuff. And so we just have the privilege of having access to all of these wild stories, man. And they're nothing short of amazing. I mean, if you guys are familiar, let me ask you guys a question, and I think I know the answer to this, maybe not. But what's the most recognizable Florida Man story that you guys can think of?
For me, it's probably the bath salts guy who ate the face.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Not the one I'm thinking of.
I don't remember. I know we did some guy let an alligator in a drive-through in a drive-through Burger King or something. Is it?
That's the one. So if you've heard anything about the Florida Man Games, you know about the evading arrest obstacle course. Mm-hmm. And as part of the evading arrest obstacle course, where they're running from actual police officers, by the way, a section in that obstacle course is throwing an alligator through a drive-through window and trying to knock over the cashier.
You know what's funny? When you asked me
that, it's so much fun, man.
When you asked me that, I feel like I was combining 5 different stories. I didn't even know if I was right, but I knew it had something to do with a gator going through a window.
Yeah. If you throw in, there's a secret formula to a perfect Florida Man story. It's meth, it's alligators, and it's either Walmart or McDonald's, so I don't know about the meth part of that story, but yeah, that's the formula right there.
So when you announce this, and I'm going to do Florida Man, and everybody wants to be a part of it, how much of a shell shock are you in, as in getting ready to prepare for this? Do you have the resources like readily available, or are you just like panicking, looking left and right on what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, no, man, it was definitely a whirlwind that I did not expect. Like I said, just being in the news business for as long as I was, I know Florida Man stories get traction. So I knew people were going to pick up on the story. But really, I did not expect the response that we got at all. And I was not prepared for it. Most definitely not prepared financially for it. This became like an international event. And I say that with all seriousness. We had people from Australia and England and Ireland and New Zealand. I mean, all over the place out there, faster than I could adapt to it. Luckily, though, we had some, the phone was also ringing off the hook with sponsorship opportunities. So we had the opportunity to work with a lot of great sponsors who really made sure the event happened, made sure we could pay for all the weirdness that we had out there. The mechanical alligator, which was a big hit. If you've ever ridden a mechanical bull, we've got, of course, an alligator version of it here in Florida.
Yeah.
But we just were able to do so much cool stuff. And thankfully it was because we just had some cool sponsors on board who just got behind it. They were like, this is our kind of weird, and we want to help you make this thing happen. So that was really, really awesome.
So give us a little insight for people who are obviously tuning into this episode. They're like, who is this Florida Man guy? They're starting to get what you're talking about. So give us, as the event's coming up in 2 weeks, what are some of the events, if people were to come, that they would see?
Yeah. So, of course, we talked a little bit about the evading arrest obstacle course. That one's kind of like our main event. We've got the weaponized pool noodle mud duel, which is honestly one of the most aggressive things you will ever watch in person, and hilarious as well. If you're thinking of the American gladiators with those big Q-tips, these are basically pool noodles. The Florida version of it is a pool noodle stuffed with a PVC pipe with a whole lot of duct tape on the end. Mm-hmm. And these guys are just knocking the crap out of each other and trying to get each other out of the mud pit. I have such a sick mind. And I've got such a high tolerance for sense of humor. I almost called this the noodle whack, thinking that would be, thinking that would, because I know there's got to be a Florida Man story that I could have said, yeah, this was inspired by that guy who was jerking off in the middle of the road,
with a gator. With a gator.
You get like 5 guys
right,
show
exactly.
up. I'm suing. That was my story.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But that's why you do it with somebody who's got 5 stories, because then it's like, well, wasn't your story? Or anyway, sorry guys, I took a huge bong rip, so I'm just going off on tangents here. But so we've got evading arrest. We've got weaponized pool noodle. One of my favorites last year that we had to bring back this year was the Florida Sumo. And this is where the guys get in a caged octagon, which is just badass. I don't care what you're doing in there. They get in a caged octagon. They put on the inflatable inner tubes, and they have a pitcher of beer in their hand. They've got to either knock the guy into the cage onto the ground or spill the beer out of their pitcher. This one gets aggressive too, and the crowd really gets into this one. And the loser can still get some bonus points if he chugs the winner's remaining beer out of the pitcher. So there's a good opportunity for chugging some beer there for sure. I mentioned to you, we added the human beer pong, and then we also added the Hurricane Party Prep grocery aisle brawl. I really need to be better at coming up with short names for these things. Yeah. But I feel like that just encapsulates it all. If I could encapsulate it all in the name, that'd be awesome. So this is great. One guy's going to start out in a Winn-Dixie cart. The other guy's going to be in a Publix cart. They're going to be going, another guy from their team is going to be pushing them full speed at each other, and they got to try and joust each other out of the shopping cart.
Nice.
If both of them remain in the shopping cart, if one of them gets knocked out, the other guy just automatically wins.
Okay.
If both of them remain in the shopping cart, then they go to the grocery aisle and literally fight each other to get the rest of the Solo cups, the beer, and the toilet paper into their shopping cart before the other guy. It is such a Florida. It's so amazing to be able to turn these Florida activities into athletic events. It's so much fun.
Yeah, where were we at? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
I was about to ask you. Now I know this is only like the second year, but as you like envision this, were you like some people like to start something and then like have the greatest athletes coming? Were you hoping for like, oh my God, we got like a track and field guy or something like that? Or were you always hoping for, no, I want the fat Florida slobs coming out here in the middle of the sun and trying this out?
I really want a good mix, man. The thing we looked for, and people sent us a lot of video submissions, was just the weirdest ones. I mean, honestly, we had guys riding on tanks. We had guys slamming each other through, not the WWE tables. They were slamming each other through those thick PVC tables.
Mm-hmm.
We had one guy pull a live alligator out of a creek. Like, I had to start putting disclaimers on things like, please don't risk your life to submit a video and compete in this dumb contest. So yeah, man, we were just looking for the weirdest guys. But I think we all kind of found out pretty quickly that, yeah, it's goofy and it's weird and it's hilarious, but it takes a little bit of athletic skill to get through these events. I mean, honestly, fighting a guy with a 10-pound bar in your hand and trying to shove him out of a mud pit is really not an easy thing to do. So it takes a bit of athletic ability. And I got to tell you, we've got some really cool athletes on some of these teams this year. I think we've got an American Ninja Warrior contestant on one of them. We've got a former WWE and UFC guy in Matt Riddle, who I'm pretty sure is going to be competing on Team Hatchet Pro Wrestling.
Nice.
Yeah, he's apparently been pumped for this whole thing. It's really cool. He called a friend of mine who owns Hatchet Pro Wrestling. He's a pro wrestler himself. And they were talking, and he's apparently been wanting to put a team together for this for like months, which when I heard that, I was like, dude, that is so cool. Like, didn't have to talk him into that or anything. He was just like, he wanted to be part of it. So I'm super excited about that. He's going to have a match out there as well. We've got Indy Hartwell out there as well doing our fight night, which is amazing. I think this is her first, if not her first international, definitely her first United States match since leaving WWE. That's going to be huge. She's going to be going up against Vix Crow, who was formerly Alicia Fox, women's diva champion in WWE. Like, it's so cool that folks from I've got a NASCAR announcement to make too. I see that on your TV in the background. I've got a big NASCAR announcement to make tomorrow too.
Nice.
But it's so cool that guys from like these worlds that I feel like we share a lot of the same viewers and watchers and things like that. It's so cool to see how many of these like professional wrestlers and NASCAR guys have really like opened their arms to being part of this and are just so intrigued by it and so into it, man. It's really, really cool. That side of it is really, really cool.
Let's get Antonio Brown down there. I feel like he would be a perfect addition.
My God, Antonio Brown's quitting the Florida games. No.
Yeah. Boy, that'd be some competition. I don't think anybody could control that guy.
So Pete, if you're thinking of events prior to this interview, I decided to pop over to ChatGPT and I asked AI.
Okay. I love it.
I said,
that's what we all do these days for everything, by the way.
I said, create me some new events for the Florida Man Games. So I wanted to just run a couple by you and see what you think. First is
I'm excited. Let's do it.
The Gator Wrestling Relay. Participants must catch and wrestle a live gator into a designated gator pen while wearing protective gear. Each team member must take turns with one gator, but the catch is that the gator gets faster as they move through the relay. That's your first event there.
Wow. Wow. Now, are we talking real gator, live gator?
I sure hope so. I mean, they said
as long as your insurance company's cool with it.
I was going to say, if you're paying for the insurance on that, let's do it, dude. That sounds great.
And also, let's make up the details as we go along. This is ChatGPT.
That's true.
This one I liked. Jorts and jet ski jousting. Competitors ride jet skis across a lagoon, each armed with a pool noodle to knock their opponent off their jet ski. Bonus points for competitors who sport the most outrageous jorts during the event.
I mean, I think we've got, other than the jorts, which everybody will pretty much show up in by default, I think.
Yep.
I think we've got most of that covered in the grocery cart joust. So I think you swap the jet skis for the grocery carts, and we've got that nailed, man.
It suggested the drive-through dash. Competitors drive through chaotic drive-through line, completing wacky challenges along the way. They must get their food order correct, but if they make a mistake, they're disqualified. Not bad.
Okay. All right. There wasn't enough Florida in there for me.
Yeah.
Though.
Okay. How about the crab lobster brawl? Participants are handed oversized foam claws like a crab or lobster and must engage in a tug-of-war match in the sand, all while trying to maintain their balance on a tiny beach ball.
I'm not mad at that at all. Is ChatGPT going to ask for royalties if I do that next year, you think?
No,
I am.
Just say verbal shenanigans helps you.
I'll be asking.
Rubber emblem somewhere.
I think legally, since you already admitted to ChatGPT doing it, I want to say you don't have a claim, but
damn it,
maybe you and I will get to the point where we are forced to figure that out. I hope not.
Hiding the vaping snakes challenge. This one's a little quirky. Competitors have to hide inflatable vaping snakes somewhere in a sandy beach area without being spotted by the judges. It's like a scavenger hunt, but everything is an inflatable snake, and the goal is to make sure they're camouflaged.
See, I could find a lot of vaping snakes, but they're all real people. So, I mean, that's no problem.
All right, last one. This one was my favorite. There was a couple others, but this is my favorite. Sunburn Survivor. Participants have to try to outlast each other under an intense heat lamp simulating Florida's sun. They must resist the urge to apply sunscreen and last as long as possible without turning into lobster. Whoever stays under the heat the longest wins.
So we're giving people. You're suggesting I start giving people cancer?
Hey man,
at the Florida Man games.
It's the Florida Man games. Everything goes.
That's a rough sell. I think that's going to be a hard no for me. But I get it. That's something Floridians that we deal with.
All right, fine. One more. Hurricane boat sprint. The event involves contestants paddling makeshift boats made of duct tape, pool noodles, and cardboard through a course of hurricane winds or heavy-duty fans. Extra points for creativity and quick thinking in navigating the waters.
I like it, man. I think if we do, if there was ever a TV show in the works, then we'd probably do that with a TV show budget. I don't think I have the budget for a lake and some big fans, but maybe one day we'll get there. Maybe one day.
All right, well.
Now I didn't use ChatGPT, but like just thinking out like an event. Now this is going to sound weird. It's not totally Floridian, but you know that rapper who's suing Lyft, that Dank DeMoss?
Oh, the
like
big
500-pound rapper. Yeah.
Dude, I have not followed rappers since Soulja Boy came out. So I got to say no. He ruined rap for me.
Well, there's a story like this woman's like 500 pounds and she ordered a lift and the guy wouldn't take her on the ride. Basically,
I did hear something about this.
As nicely as humanly possible, like without saying you're too fat. He's like, I can't put you in my car. Like my variation for the Florida games would be like you get like a 400-pound sandbag and a team of 5 has to find a way to fit it into the back of a sedan, the fastest time limit.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I'm not mad at that.
See that?
I'm not mad at it at all. What do you call it, though? What's the name for that?
The Florida Fit.
The Florida Fitness. Yeah,
fit it in.
We'll have to think about
workshop that.
Yeah,
I'll call you back.
I came up with a great idea. I don't have names. I'm sorry. That's not my deal on this show.
See, that's the key to it, though. That's what I've found is the key to it is the names of the games. You want to show up to see what the evading arrest obstacle course is. You want to show up to see what the Florida Sumo is. You want to show up to see what their grocery aisle brawl is. You want to show up just from the names of it. You know, we put very little description of what these games were going to be last year. And a lot of that was in big part because I didn't know up until about a month out what they were physically actually going to look like. But people showed up for the names, man. It's you just got to see it for yourself.
I love it.
Now I know you're returning. I'm guessing the returning champions, Hanky Spanky, who won last year, will be coming back. I'm kind of curious who is your like lovable underdog of the Florida Games, or your Michael Phelps, who are like this person's showing up for the next 15 years and just winning every time kind of thing. Who's some names we should look out for?
I hope Riddle shows up for the next 15 years. I think that'd be great. But I think, Hanky Spanky's got a big rivalry with the Cooter Commandos.
Of course
the Cooter Commandos are out of Inverness, Florida. So those are kind of the Cooter Commandos. I don't remember how well they did. I don't think they were in the top 5 last year. They might have been, but they're kind of my lovable losers, man. If Hanky Spanky doesn't take it, it would be cool to see them win, but I can't really pay favorites, I'm going to be doing some of the refereeing out there. So I think if I say something on the show now and that team ends up winning, then, they're going to play this footage back and they're going to blame me. They're going to say I'm rigging the whole thing.
It's like the Kansas City Chiefs. I got you. Yeah, everybody thinks they pay off the refs. I got you.
That's right. That's right. So as long as they show up and be weird, man, I'm happy with all the teams.
As we're coming up to this, tell us what the fans experience and all, and are you guys working on any kind of streaming or anything like that? But if I show up with a ticket and all, what are the costs? What else do we see other than the games? Kind of promote the whole event for us.
Yeah, cool. So day of the event, you're going to come in. It's just so much of a bigger area than we had last year, which is great. We're going to probably have more people out there this year. So it's a great space. As far as things to do outside of watching the games, it's kind of going to work like this. You're going to come in. We're going to do kind of the opening ceremonies at 10 o'clock. We're going to do a couple of the games. Eat the Butt Challenge will be our first qualifying match. And then I think we go straight to Weaponized Pool Noodle. And then
we're just gonna skip over we're just gonna gloss over Eat the Butt Challenge and just go on. Whoa.
I mean, you want to dive into some butt? We can dive into some Eat the Butt. No, and again, it's all in the name, man. It's a pork butt eating contest. It's whoever can finish their 2 pounds of pork in front of them first takes that home.
Gotcha.
But we couldn't just call it the pork eating competition. You got to give it a Florida name,
right? But you also just can't gloss over that in the answer. You can't just we're gonna eat some butt.
My bad.
Eat some butt at 10 a.m. and then get the game started. Okay, this is
God. He knows his audience. He knows he doesn't have to go further than eat the butt. Come on.
That's right. They will show up, and it's so funny because just on a whim, when we announced this last year live at the games, I said, "Okay, which side eats the best butt?" And to my surprise, people were going wild. They wanted to let us know that they were the best butt eaters on the planet. And they were talking about, real butt. So after each kind of main event, after each competition, real butt. After each competition, we're going to head to the stage for a show. There's always going to be vendors. There's always going to be rides for people to do. But we have a bunch of free shows. We've got the Ripley's Freak Show, which is fire breathing and sword swallowing. We got a guy who's lower half is gone. So he does all these crazy gymnastics. We're going to have midget wrestling. They're called the Midget Wrestling Warriors. So nobody hate on me for using that word. That's the name of their business. We're going to have to, what can I do? It's midget wrestling. We're going to have that out there. We are going to have lawnmower racing. Which is going to be awesome and hosted by somebody I can't wait to announce. And so that's going to be really cool. And then we're going to have a Florida Woman bonus challenge that's going to count for points, but it's also going to count as one of the shows out there for people to watch. And this is called the Baby Daddy Extinguisher. I think you guys are the first people I've talked to about this one. And the theme of this is baby daddies smoking cigarettes around the kids again. So you have to use your sports bra as a slingshot and fire silicone projectiles to extinguish the cigarette so baby daddy can't
Of
smoke
course.
around the kids again.
Yes, yeah, naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, we've got the state of the emergency kind of main event fight night with all those great wrestlers that I mentioned earlier, man. And, you know, that's put on by Hatchet Pro Wrestling and great folks that run that school. WWE Wrestler runs that school, who I don't think I'm legally allowed to say his name because WWE is very tight on their IPs. But if you do some Googling, very, very prominent wrestler that owns that school. It's a great school, and it's been a great partnership working with them. So they put that whole match together. Obviously, they know a lot of people in the business, so it's I'm really excited for that, man.
That's
really
awesome.
excited for that too. And then we're gonna have obstacle courses. We're gonna have rides. We're gonna have games. There's just gonna be something to do at every minute of the day that you just can't find anywhere else.
Just the vibrance from you makes me want to get in a car and hover down to Florida. Now, where are the games exactly, by the way?
So they're North Florida. Where are you guys at?
I live in Georgia. Scotty's up in New Jersey.
Dude, Scott, you got a little bit of a trip.
A little bit
But,
of drive.
Mike, man.
But I might hop on a plane to go eat some butt. Yeah.
I will put you both in for VIP tickets if you want to come down and experience it for yourself. I got no problem doing that.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. I may try to make this work, my friend. And
I promise you it will be one of the most memorable days of your life. I can definitely promise you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. But Pete, where can they go to get tickets if they want to come to the games?
Sure, they can go to thefloridamangames.com and get their tickets there. We've got general admission tickets still left for $45, and then I think we're down to less than 100 VIP tickets left that they can grab there as well. And you get free food, you get free drinks, you get free rides all day with VIP tickets. Thefloridamangames.com. Everybody come on out and get weird with us.
Let's
for a
go.
day.
Yeah. Last question. All other 49 states call you and they say they want their state games. What is the absolute last one you would not even want to consider? Be too boring.
Washington, D.C. I mean, I guess they're not technically a state, but I don't want to. I don't like most of those people anyway.
I 100% agree. I mean, even
you got the commandos. I had the commanders. Okay,
you got to admit, like the politician games would be so boring. It would be it would be awful to watch.
They'd be in that old shitty football stadium with the shitty fan. Awful, terrible place to host anything. Never mind.
I just
go over to the other one with the poop pipes that overflow. That's fine.
the overflowing poop pipes does sound like a Florida game.
Yeah. Can we name that the thing I talked about with shoving the fat girl in the back seat? The overflowing poop pipes?
Yeah. Okay, we're making traction on that. We're coming back to that. We're making some traction. All right.
I'm going to make a mark in this world.
We'll figure this out.
Pete, absolute pleasure talking to you. Absolute best of luck.
Guys.
I hope these games go on for years and me and Scott can show up and have a great time with you. Best of luck this year and many years to come.
Thank you guys so much. It was a blast. I appreciate the opportunity. And I hope to see you both out there. If not this year, it better be next year.
Excellent.
I'll definitely make
I was actually going to say with more planning, I could probably make that happen next year.
Let's do it.
I got a little 8-month-old. I don't and a 4-year-old, so it takes a little more than hey, honey.
That makes it tough.
You need a baby tossing contest, and then Scott will go there because he's very egotistical. He won't.
I'm going to
try to win that one.
I'm going to eat butt down in Florida. See you, kids. Peace.
That's worse than I'm going out for cigarettes. It's is Daddy coming back for me? Daddy went out to eat butt 7 years ago and he never came back.
Rumor has it he's still doing it.
I saw his picture in the New York Times. All right, guys. It was a blast. Thank you very much.
Florida man game you think you would have the best chance in?
Which one? I just had the list up. Let me get it back up quickly, and I'll give you my answer.
Staring at fountains.
That would be great. I'm gonna guess that I would be best at the Hurricane Party Prep game.
That one sounds fun.
Yeah, that really. It's like, as he described it, it's almost like you don't want it to end on like the first try. I wanted to get to sprinting in to get like the toilet paper and stuff and get the full game experience.
Yeah, I always liked Supermarket Sweep when I was a kid. It reminds me a little bit of that, but like taken to a next level. So,
that show was great. And you get so angry with people and all that. Why are you grabbing the pork? There's a big bottle of Snapple there. That could be worth $300.
Yeah. So maybe we'll find ourselves at the games next year. Pretty interesting stuff there. So
100% down.
Yeah. All right. So, first off, I will now revert to calling you by the name of your choosing. Had to bust your balls for a week. I was cracking myself up editing that. It also took me a good, I don't know, 2 hours almost to find all the mentions of the Burls along the way. But I was like, this is so worth it.
You buy like a transcript kind of thing.
No, but I would listen to it. And then like it's not like I have a beep button. I had to edit the beep sound in and find cut that audio in the exact moments that he says. So Mike, how would you like me to pronounce and say said nickname here?
I mean, you could probably, it's your choice if you're going to Burls, or if it's simpler, you can just say the full name, the Burls Michael Burlew.
Wow, the full name. Okay.
It may be easier flowing than just the Burls, if you will.
Okay. All right. The Burls Michael Burlew. Full name. We live in a time here where conspiracy theories, in the last 10 years, right? Everybody is just conspiracy nuts. Everything that comes out in the news is a conspiracy theory. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, is there any conspiracy theories that you're into, or that you believe in, or that you might find very appealing or realistic?
I think we kind of had this discussion when we had the director of the Rocket Man movie with the flat earther. Mm-hmm. I really don't have like a real one. I do question the amount of people who died at 9/11. As I point out, I remember like the day after, they're like, we have over 10,000 names, and then magically the list went down to 3,000 some names. Okay. So that always made me scratch my head. I guess the biggest one I can think of is I think there was more than one shooter for JFK. That counts as conspiracy theory. Okay.
Well, after today, you're going to have one. You're going to have one that you believe in. Okay. Because we're going to put you through. Now, you have famously, as I say between me and you, the Burls, Michael Burlew. You put me through a tournament every January, a death tournament where I must bring someone back. And we've done various tournaments. So now I'm going to turn it on you a little bit here. Okay. I'm going to put you through a little tournament. I am calling this the Tinfoil Tournament. Okay.
I like it.
Okay. I'm going to give you a list of some matchups of 32 of the most highly well-known conspiracy theories. Okay. And when these matchups happen, you have to tell me which one you find more plausible. Okay. Which one you would believe more than the other, leading us down to one where by the end of this, you are the Burls Michael Burlew conspiracy theorist, and this is the one that you have to rest your hat on. Okay.
I like the game, and for you, it will be easier to edit in the beeps now that we have a longer stretch here by going full name.
So, Mike, are you ready here? Okay.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry, the Burls Michael Burlew. Are you ready here? I'm going to give you two matchups. I'm going to explain kind of a little blurb on what each conspiracy theory is. And we're going to have the tinfoil hat at the end. Maybe you should put it on and, say, I don't know, Loch Ness Monster's real or something like that. But here we go. And we're going to start round one. The first matchup is a doozy, Mike. It is two of the heavy hitters here. We have the moon landing was faked. The moon landing was fake, the theory that the United States staged the 1969 moon landing to win the space race, versus 9/11 was an inside job, the belief that the U.S. government or factions within orchestrated attacks on September 11th. Mike, which one is more plausible?
Both are very good for keeping inside the head with a tinfoil hat. If I'm going to say one of them is real, I'm going to pick the moon landing just on the basis of what kind of technology we had in 69 versus today. And as we have our technology today, we don't even really talk. I know they revamped NASA and we were supposed to go back to the moon and stuff like that, but it's just kind of funny how, like, when our technologies were at the lowest, when we had like dot matrix printers, we're just flying up to the moon and planting flags and leaving stuff up there. Inside job for 9/11, I think they have better ways of killing off people slowly one by one where we're not going to count it versus a whole big.
How can you say the moon landing's fake when we talked to one of the astronauts, that was on the moon? We talked to him about his grandson's baseball game he had to attend.
Well, Scott, after the interview, I got a telescope up and I started looking at the moon, and nowhere on the moon was a calendar with all his daily routines and nothing, especially nothing about a grandson's baseball game. So that's where I started thinking something's up here.
Okay. Second matchup here, Mike. We have another huge one. We're dropping bombs early here.
Before you continue.
Michael Burrow. No, the Burrows, Michael Burrow. It might be easier. The Burrows.
Okay.
But anyway, it's very hard to focus on the game and remember that stupid ass nickname. But anyway, I will continue. Here we go. Big matchup here. The JFK assassination, as you know, JFK assassination was the result of a conspiracy involving the U.S. government and other powerful groups, versus the existence of the Illuminati, the belief in a secret society that controls world events and governments. Mike, JFK assassination versus the Illuminati in a hot round one.
Okay, this one's kind of easy for me. I'm going to go with the JFK assassination. Again, considering the times, magic bullet and all that stuff, just magically the information's still not out there, even as it's supposed to be released again, for what I understand, or it was supposed to be some information supposed to come out. I find that more hard to believe. Illuminati, I can see like a secret society with rich people in it. But the problem is those people like to brag, or they have like a wife that wants to brag. So it's something where it's like, if there really was, it's like tonight on Entertainment Tonight, Tom Cruise and the Illuminati, just something that would be put out there in regular public. We're like, what are you doing?
Okay. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Mike doesn't believe the moon. The Burrows doesn't believe the moon was real, and JFK assassination was set up by the government. So, Mike, you're getting a very shiny over.
What?
The Burrows, you're getting very shiny in your tinfoil uniform over there. Here we go. Next, we have the New World Order, not the one that you and our listener Harry know all about. The real New World Order, the theory that a global elite is attempting to create a totalitarian one world government, versus chemtrails, Mike. The belief that chemtrails from airplanes are actually chemicals being sprayed for mind control, population control, and weather manipulation. New World Order.
Yeah. Wolfpack theme song was the best one.
Okay.
But I digress.
Please digress.
Yeah. I think I will take the New World Order. I could totally see world leaders just chatting with each other, like kind of putting a mirage out there. Oh, no, we're allies. We're different. We got boundaries and stuff like that. But meanwhile, they are talking internally. It's just like, how do we keep our power? And let's make sure everybody stays beneath us. I could totally see it. The chemicals out of the plane thing, there'd be a lot of farmers that would be like turned gay or something like that, like the frogs. I'm going by InfoWars people with the gay frog stuff. So if it's in the chemicals, like all the farmers would be a gay pride parade.
We've seen Mike go from Colonel Mustard to Sergeant Gray. Now he's Alex Jones over there.
Right?
Okay. All right, Mike. NWO.
Still using.
Oh, the Burls. Yeah, the Burls. NWO. Okay. All right. Next round here, we have the flat Earth theory, which you're familiar with, that the Earth is not round but flat, with a claim to suggest a cover-up by the scientific community. Okay, versus the reptilian elite. The reptilian elite, the belief that world leaders and powerful elites are actually reptilian aliens controlling humanity. Which one is more feasible, Mike?
Ooh.
The Burls, Michael.
This is a tough one. Like both of them are like sky high tinfoil kind of belief system in there. So I mean, really
large Reynolds wrap, the very large one.
Yeah. Like multiple packs to make this hat right here. If I had to pick one of the two, I think I am going to go with the flat Earth.
Wow, you guys hear it first. No moon. Mike believes in flat. I mean, the Burls believes in flat Earth. It's unbelievable what's happening here on Rebel Shenanigans here.
I just don't see reptile people just being able to have perfect makeup to just look like world leaders and just. That's like as everything comes together, as the reptile people are the NWO, and they're just like surprise mofos.
Sounds like something a non-reptile person would say, but okay. All right, here we go. The 27 Club, Mike. The 27 Club, which you might be familiar with, is the idea that certain musicians died at 27. Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. They were part of a secret ritual and forced to die at that age. Versus hollow Earth, Mike. The theory that the Earth is hollow and contains advanced civilizations and extraterrestrial life inside.
Interesting.
Big one here.
I could totally see with artists and being on drugs and thinking that they are doing something extra divine, not only adding to art, but adding their soul to the system. I'm going to go with the 27 Club, Scott.
But remember, they're part of a secret ritual that killed them off.
Well, then Kurt Cobain didn't tell me anything, so it's still secret.
Okay. The 27 Club is real, according to my co-host here. Here we go. Area 51 and the aliens, as you probably know, you're very familiar. Area 51 is a theory that the U.S. government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life at a secret military base in Nevada. Okay. Versus the Denver International Airport. I never even heard of this one, but conspiracy theories claim that the airport has underground bunkers, secret symbols, and links to the Illuminati and the New World Order inside underneath the airport. Are you a big fan of Denver, Mike?
We haven't been out there. We got to meet. I mean, maybe Parker the Snow Dog is
Burls, by the way.
Maybe Parker the Snow Dog is a part of that conspiracy, and we did dig into that interview as tightly as possible. What was the
Area 51 versus the Denver International Secret Airport bunkers?
Area 51 is like the Duke of conspiracy theories. I cannot see VCU coming out of Denver trying to defeat them in this competition, Scott. I gotta go Area 51.
Area 51 advancing in the Tinfoil Tournament here. Bringing us to our next matchup here. Big Pharma and suppressed cures, okay? Meaning, the idea that Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical companies are suppressing cures for diseases like cancer to keep making money. We've heard this one our whole lives, right? Verse, this is a good one. The death of Paul McCartney. A theory that Paul McCartney actually died in 1966 and was replaced by a lookalike to maintain the Beatles' success. Mike, is it Sir Paul or a Big Pharma moving on?
Very interesting, the two of them. I could totally see some record executive like searching high and low for somebody who just has the correct bone structure to fill in.
They got to teach that guy to sing too. Paul's a hell of a singer.
Yeah, but
Not so much on the SNL thing the other night, but in general, a great
true.
show.
I mean, he's had a good run for a while, and again, that's the replacement. So he finally slipped up. Maybe that's the clue to he's a replacement all along.
And the replacement doesn't have as much wear and tear on him, like he has left.
Exactly. And what's my first pick again?
Big Pharma and Suppressing Cures. Big Pharma versus Paul. The Death of Paul.
Yeah. If you're dumb enough to not get somebody on your football team because of their Madden score, and you're just worried about bringing in people who say all your shots are useless and you're just a part of the man's plan and all that, I can't see you having the brilliant plan of, oh, you cured cancer? Cool. Throw it away. So I'm going for the upset and saying Paul McCartney has been replaced.
Wow. I can't wait to edit a scissor reel together of all these things that you believe.
Yeah. Get the Charlie board with the red strings pointing to every article.
All right, Mike, we're on the second half of the bracket here. Well, close. The Mandela effect, okay, which you might be aware, is the phenomenon where large groups of people remember events or facts differently than they actually occurred, often thought to be caused by alternate realities. MCU is really big into this right now. Or the HARP, H-A-R-P, in weather control, the theory that the HARP facility in Alaska is used to manipulate weather, create earthquakes, and control mines, Mike.
Intriguing. Like, I haven't been up to Alaska, so that's totally believable. Them HARP people up there. But I could totally see as we live life and we don't really have a concept more than linear time. It can't fathom like these breaks in time where, yeah, it did happen, but something else occurred, which changed the timeline. And so it did happen, yet it didn't happen. So I'm going to Mandela effect there, Scott.
Wow. Okay. A little 8-9 matchup there. Okay. Big one here. One of the big boppers in this tournament. COVID-19 was planned. The belief that COVID-19 pandemic was engineered in a bioweapon as a means of global control. First, the death of Princess Diana, a death in a car crash, was not accidental, but orchestrated by the British royal family and other factions. Huge matchup in the middle of the first round here, Mike.
Yep. I mean, the COVID thing is big, and everything that came out China and what was not disclosed. Yep.
Oh, the Burls, by the way.
Thank you.
I slipped the M word in there.
Don't worry, you're going to edit this all out anyway. I know that. So, yeah, I mean, just on the fact that the whole world was dealing with this, when we're talking about minor countries that don't want to, like those Uzbekistans or whatever, that clearly they don't give an F about any plans that the U.S. and France and all of them have. I can't fathom it being a world thing where you can get everybody entwined to get their monies and shut down the world. So I could totally see evil British royalty. I mean, we have about 50 shows that dictate that. So Princess Di died by the royal family.
Wow. COVID-19 goes down in an upset in the first round. Here we go. The Titanic sinking, the idea that the sinking of the Titanic was planned for insurance fraud or to eliminate influential people opposed to the Federal Reserve, versus the CIA and LSD, the belief that the CIA used a drug LSD to experiment and control population in secret mind control programs.
I could totally see our people who are in the shadows, who are supposed to be there for helping us, planning a couple drugs here and there to kind of calm down certain situations or make sure certain groups don't move up in the world. So I am just totally going with the CIA LSD theory.
Yeah, some rumors of Charles Manson that he was put through this program, which we will get to in a second here. Okay. The Masons and Freemasons, Mike. The idea that Freemasonry is a global secret society that controls government, industry, and world affairs. Versus the vaccine conspiracy. Big one, hot topic with people here today. Claims that vaccines cause widespread harm, including autism or population control, often suggesting they're used to control the population. Big matchup. The old school Freemasons versus the vaccines, Mike.
I'm not familiar with Freemasons. I never dealt with any Mason, free nor slave Mason.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I have much knowledge to truly allow them to advance to the next round, Scott. So I will just say F the vaccines, as RFK Sr. has said.
Wow. Okay. Vaccines advancing. The Burrows, Michael Burlew. We got false flag operations. Okay. The belief that governments orchestrate or allow attacks to manipulate public opinion and justify wars or oppressive measures. Okay. Versus MK Ultra. This touches on one that we said
Michelob
before.
Ultra?
Versus Michelob Ultra. How
That's
does
a
it
good
have
beer.
0 calories? No. The belief that the CIA experimented with mind control techniques using drugs, hypnosis, and other methods on unwitting citizens.
I mean, I advanced the CIA in the previous one right there. I could totally see him put some happy drugs out there and just F up people's life. To think that they have mind control capabilities, I can't fathom we get enough good people. I mean, just the interview process alone to get people in there, they probably have to hire like witch doctors and stuff like that. That don't sound like CIA people to me, Scott. So I'm going with the other answer.
False flag operations. Here we go. We're in the bottom bracket here. The Rothschild family global control. Okay, Mike. That is that the Rothschild. A theory that the Rothschild family secretly controls much of the world's finances and political system. So one family controlling most of that. Verse, okay, the Godfather assassination plot. Okay, this is a theory suggesting that the assassination of Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro was orchestrated by the CIA and the mafia in collaboration with other interests. Okay? So are we teaming up with the mafia? Is it true? Or does the family pretty much own everything? Make all our choices here, Mike.
Considering that the princes in Saudi Arabia and so forth don't have to report anything financially, and they have control of pretty much all the oil, so we can be talking about stuff way past trillions. I could totally see one family controlling the world here. So I'm going with the family financial situation there.
Wow,
Scotty.
the Rothschilds. Move on. Okay. We got 3 more. The phantom time hypothesis. Okay. Phantom time hypothesis. There's a theory that historical periods, such as the Middle Ages, were fabricated and erased from history and never existed, wasn't a real thing. Okay, Mike? Versus a big boy here, which is going to be a little twist with this guy in a second. The Bermuda Triangle, you might be familiar with. Okay? Now, this is the Bermuda Triangle idea that is a mysterious zone where aircrafts and ships disappear to alien activity, okay, or hidden underwater bases. So this is aliens in the Bermuda Triangle, the Burrows. What are we thinking here?
I just love, that's a classic right there. That's like Coca-Cola conspiracy right there, my friend. And no, it's just so you know the taste, it's delicious. You don't want to say no to it, Scott. I don't need to even talk about the other one. Bermuda Triangle, come on up to the second round.
Okay, Bermuda Triangle, aliens, advances. The sinking of the Lusitania, Mike, that is the Burrows. The belief that the British deliberately sank the Lusitania, the ship, to make the U.S. join World War I. Okay, so they deliberately sunk their own ship. Versus the fake Star Wars moon landings. The idea that the Star Wars movie set was used to simulate moon landings involving the U.S. government and NASA.
I love George Lucas. I have seen all the original movies. That does not show me they had any kind of technology. We had to wait till the 90s for him to screw it up with CGI, Jabba the Hutt, and stuff like that. So I doubt they looked at his work and said, man, you can probably make us look really good, and it'd be a great story with the Miracle Mets the same year. So I am going with the sinking of the ship, Scott.
Okay. Lusitania moves on. And in the final match in round one, subliminal messages in the media. Subliminal messages in the media, the belief that movies, music, and advertisements contain hidden messages designed to influence behavior or thoughts, versus the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle has come back because there's a second theory about the Bermuda Triangle, that there is a portal in the Bermuda Triangle that causes like a black hole, if you will, that causes ships and things to sink. So non-alien alien related, the tunnel version of the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle split its teams in half.
Yeah, Scott. Now we're getting to Coke 2 territory.
Well,
we tried to get.
Could we have a Bermuda versus Bermuda matchup in round two?
But the problem is Coke 2, Scott. It's in theory you're like, oh, this is more delicious than the first one, and you'll love it just as much. And it's like, no, now I got levels I'm not really interested in and whatever. So I can't do Bermuda versus Bermuda. I'm gonna go with the other team right there.
All right. You heard it here, folks. What Mike believes in, his deep thoughts. Let's see what he really believes in round two. Here we go, Mike. Huge matchup here. The moon landing was faked versus the JFK assassination. Two of the biggest ones in this country's history. Who is going on to the semifinals?
Scott, that's Duke, North Carolina in the second round. They should be meeting way down the road. And I can't believe we got this right here.
Ooh, if you're watching the Burrows, Michael Burlew, his face is really doing some work right now. Thinking.
I'm trying to give this as good of a serious answer with logic behind it to give a proper answer for advancement. I think it's easier to have a wacky bullet situation than to have a machine basically equivalent to a Texas Instruments calculator that can bring you to the moon. So I'm going to say the moon landing being faked is advancing.
Oh, the moon landing is more plausible than JFK.
Correct.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So moon landing moves on. You think that it could have been faked. Very interesting. Okay. JFK, I'm sorry, those documents are not being unleashed. We got to see if Trump dog over there actually follows through. Mike, the NWO versus flat Earth theory. The NWO versus flat Earth theory.
This one's an easy one. As I said early on, I'm not into the whole flat Earth thing. This is as great of an interview as we had. It's just a head scratcher with the Rocket Man trying to prove the Earth is flat. I would figure there'd be a lot more mysterious, oops, they fell off the earth, dying situations versus what we see now. We don't really get that when people are like going to the Pacific Ocean or the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. So I am just going to advance the NWO, my friend.
And New World Order. Okay. We have Area 51, a big one in the tournament, versus the 27 Club. Maybe a little bit of a sleeper here, a little Gonzaga action back in the day. Who's advancing here, Mike?
I can totally see an area that hold on to aliens. It seems so simplistic, yet so logical in a sense, Scott. Area 51 all the way goes. 27 Club didn't even show up for this fight. All
right. Well, here is one of the underdogs in the tournament. The second Paul McCartney versus the Mandela effect, the parallel universe theory. What do we got here? Is Paul moving on?
I mean, technically, they could both be in coexisting. Yeah. I mean, it's just like Paul dies and everybody remembers it, but it's like, wait a minute, the Beatles kept going right here. I gotta go with the Mandela effect. There's so many instances where we think we know like quotes and stories and situations, and we're like beyond shocked that it's not true, and still deep in our hearts say, no, this happened. So I'm going Mandela effect.
Wow. Sorry, second Sir Paul, you don't make the plausible theory. Princess Diana's death for CIA using LSD for mind control.
Both involve evil factions. I find the British royalty to be more evil than the CIA. Princess Di goes another round, my friend.
Wow. But you hear that? All our English listeners, Mike just said he doesn't trust any of you. Okay.
Be careful, Sharon Alexander.
All right. The vaccine conspiracy, one of the big boys in the tournament here, taking on false flag operations. Okay. False flag operations here.
There's just so much steam behind the whole vaccine situation. I can't just let it slip by in the second round for something else. So it's got to go. Moving on, Scott.
Oh, vaccines. Here we go. False flags is out. The Rothschild family controlling most global decisions versus the Bermuda Triangle aliens version, Mike. The Bermuda Triangle aliens version.
I guess what I used for logic before, I'm going to use it to take it against. I could see one family controlling it, but again, I would more see the people who control the oil distribution of the world and stuff like that to be the real heavy hitters versus the mysterious family. I am going to go with our friends in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh my goodness.
Aliens.
The aliens are killing it in round two here. All right, finally, the sinking of the Lusitania, purposely sinking your own ship to get the Americans in the war versus subliminal messages in the media.
It would be very brilliant to just shoot down your own ship. I don't know why has it been tried more often. Like that should be like every world war was like, oh, by the way, funny story. We shot our own ship just for the fun of it to get in there. But what's my other one? Sorry.
You have subliminal messages in the media.
Yeah. It's very easy to think just with like commercials and everything that kind of morphs into one in your memory that it's something that's really done. And if you play it backwards, it's got a message and stuff like that. I'm going to go with subliminal messages.
Okay. We are down to the great 8 here, Mike. Big one here. The moon landing versus your NWO, your favorite, the Burls, by the way, and the moon landing versus the NWO.
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. As much as I say the technology differences with the moon landing, I kind of just think there's somebody in the shadows that's like pulling strings or something like that more than
Sergeant
anything.
Gray.
Yeah. I saw a mysterious man by the fountain. I don't know what he's doing over there. I just, as much as it's weird to think with everything that we had then versus now, and that we went to the moon more than now, I can completely see something in the shadows controlling certain things and making sure it goes as planned. Sorry, Moon, you're real. NWO advances.
NWO takes down Duke in the tournament here. Moon landing fake, possibly the favorite in the tournament here. Okay. Area 51 versus the Mandela effect. Parallel universes versus a special place for aliens. Do the aliens continue their streak here?
I think they have to.
Wow. Okay.
It just makes absolute sense that if something came down to Earth in the earlier days and they don't want the world to panic, they would just gather everything and put it out in the middle of the desert where nobody can get to it and doesn't allow access to it. Area 51 keeps going.
All right. Your friends over in Britain, Diana versus the vaccines out there actually harming us, controlling us. What's real, Mike? The poor Princess Di, or is it the whole world?
As much steam as the vaccines had, if somebody really wanted to create something like that, it would have took a hell of a long more time for them to get these vaccines ready to go and so forth versus the few months that it took. I will never trust a royalty member.
Oh my goodness.
So, yes, Scott, the 12 seed continues on. Keep going, Princess Diana.
Princess Diana, Mike is just severing ties with our British audience as we speak, being ruthless. Finally, we have Bermuda Triangle Alien Edition for subliminal messages in the media.
There are countless times where I watch TV and kind of question if something got sent and it's just secretly or something like that.
Whoa.
There's been tons of opportunities where things have gone through the Bermuda Triangle and nothing has happened. Like the percentages are so off. If it was our friends, the aliens, the numbers would be way higher. Subliminal messages, come on up to the Final Four.
Final Four, Mike.
The Frantic
Burls.
Four.
The Burls, Michael Burlew. NWO versus Area 51, a global elite society or a place where aliens are harbored.
Societies are interesting, and I question certain things.
There's my cut for the week. Societies are interesting.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It'll make me feel deep. Those shenanigans. Societies are interesting.
But yeah, Mike really dove deep into these with his theory of societies are interesting from
I
the
never
Burls.
thought about them being interesting. But
Written by the Burls, Michael Burlew, on February 19th.
I guess I go back to, as much as we have secret stuff, we've had people in the mafia and they got out and their stories got out. We've had people who's been part of like army kind of invasions and stuff like that. Stories come out. Hard to believe they're controlling the world and not something, oops, that slipped out. Area 51, congratulations. You're in the championship game.
Wow. Okay. The New World Order out. Finally, Mike. Princess Diana versus subliminal messages in the media.
Well, Scott, you know what happens when 12 Cs hit the Final Four. It don't really generally end well for them.
No.
As much as I do not trust anything from Britain.
Anything now. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I expanded my view. As I'm going through these theories, you know what? All Britain is the NWO, and I can't stand them.
In British society, not interesting.
No. That's the alternative t-shirt that we're going to put out.
Gotcha.
Right
okay.
Subliminal messages, I could totally see some kind of scientific way, lower sound waves and stuff like that gets into your brain and makes you think of stuff. Bring them up, Scotty.
I hear frequencies get in your brain and make you think of stuff like societies are not interesting. Here we go. In the finals, Mike, which conspiracy theory after today are you a true believer in? When do people say the Burles, Michael Burlew, I cannot believe he actually believes this in his tinfoil hat? Is it Area 50, the existence of Area 51? Or is it that we are subliminally messaged all day through the media?
Both have their positives in giving them the title of the greatest conspiracy theory of all time. Both are interesting. Don't even question that.
True. Remember, it's going to be true, whatever one wins.
Yeah, neither one involves British, so I'm not worried about bad people being involved there, unless it's on the BBC.
Gotcha.
My thought process is this. As we have expanded our media, as it went from just television to physical media to YouTube and streaming, we don't really push that conspiracy theory onto the newer stuff or had any like really far out theories of, hey, I listened to the Rogan podcast and this happened and that happened and items like that.
Have you thought about us implementing subliminal messages?
I pray we can figure it out. I mean, you figured out the technology to beep out the pearls, so hopefully you can reverse engineer that and just quietly whisper something into everybody's ears. As I talk to you about subliminal messages, one thing is crystal clear. Area 51 is tiny. It's set out. There's not a lot of stories that come out of there. As much as everybody's like, I've heard this and I heard that, it kind of keeps tight with everything in the conspiracy, as in there's not, people gone in there and there's no aliens in there, stuff like that. It's just been tried and true for years and years to come, and something you could pass on to your grandchildren, Scott. When Jay or Claire had their baby boys and girls, you gather around, kids. Grandpa's going to talk to you about Area 51, the champion of conspiracy theories.
You heard it here, folks, in the first ever tinfoil tournament. I don't think there will be another one because I don't know if I'm going to find 32 more conspiracy theories. But you heard it here. The Burls, Michael Burlew, believes Area 51 exists. He is a firm believer. He can no longer deny that he is not a believer of Area 51. He did believe in a second Paul McCartney, but Area 51 is the true winner today. Mike, how's that tinfoil hat fitting at the moment?
I feel comfortable with my decision. If I go to the grave warning everybody that aliens are going to pop out of Area 51, I feel they'll be satisfied at my funeral processions and willing to go, yeah, that's probably true.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't disagree with you on too much here.
Okay.
The way the matchups lined. The one thing I was thinking was always a little skeptical about the big pharma. Big pharma and suppressing, cures and stuff like that, because it does the amount of sheer money involved in cancer and things like that is true. But I thought they would have went a little further.
It would be great if they they found the cure and they're like, we're going to suppress it. And then somebody grabbed the wrong vial. This is the stuff that keeps the cancer going. It's like, wow, cancer's really down. Bill, did you grab the left one?
Yeah.
I cured a lot of cancer. I'm so sorry, guys.
Moon landing versus 9/11 inside job was a huge first rounder. JFK versus the Illuminati right off the bat. But you heard it here first, folks. The Burls, Michael Burlew, believes in Area 51.
As should everyone.
Mike, it is time for us to go. Another great week here on the show. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I want to thank Pete for coming on, giving us the little insight to the Florida Man games.
I'm looking forward to next year going there.
Yeah, I would love to make that happen. So thanks, Pete, for coming on. Mike, anything to promote before we get out of here?
Well, Scott, what's not a conspiracy theory?
The Burls, Michael Burlew.
Yeah. What's not a conspiracy theory is Raina Roberts is an amazing entertainer. I want to send congratulations to her. People don't know, a few weeks back, Beyonce won Grammy for her country album, and Raina Roberts assisted on that, so she will be getting a Grammy for that. So congratulations to her. If you people have not heard her work, her last album was The Lost Files that came out last year, and all. She's an incredible entertainer. She was a fabulous interview, and I highly say go out and support the new projects of Raina Roberts that are coming out in 2025.
She was one of my picks for being huge in the future. The day we interviewed her, I said that to you. So I totally agree. I'll just promote a show this Friday, February 28th, which is actually my birthday. I'll be at the Rutherford Civic Center with my good friends Mike Ziccoli, Matt Jenkins, and Jackie Byrne. It is a fundraiser, but it is open to the public. So if you want more information, just shoot us a message there on Instagram. So good week this week. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Other than that, that's it for me and the Burls, Michael Burlew. Life is funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back.
If you edit this one, I will continue.
Societies.